Sure, here's a short story inspired by the title. #Hunters coping mechanisms. The year was 2609, and humanity had become one of the most formidable hunter species in the galaxy. Despite their relatively late arrival to interstellar travel, their unique blend of ingenuity, adaptability, and sheer stubbornness had propelled them to the forefront of galactic exploration and survival. Captain Zara Velez, commander of the Aegis, stared at the alien creature displayed on her visor. It was enormous, with sinewy limbs and scales that shimmered like obsidian. The creature had already taken down 2 of her crew during a reconnaissance mission on Zalos Prime. This was no ordinary hunt, it was survival. Bring it in, she barked into her comms. The team, clad in exosuits and armed with plasma rifles, moved with precision across the rocky terrain. Their target, the Zarnok, was rumored to be invulnerable to most known weaponry. Zara knew otherwise. Humanity had learned one thing in its long history of conflict: nothing was truly invulnerable. You just needed the right leverage. But this hunt was more than just another dangerous mission. For Zara, it was personal. A year ago, her sister had been killed by a Zarnok on a different planet. Every sleepless night since then had been haunted by flashes of gnashing teeth and piercing alien eyes. Her crew thought she was stoic, a model of discipline and focus. They didn't know about the therapy sessions, the VR simulations she used to relive and conquer the nightmare over and over. "Captain," came a voice over the comm, snapping her back to the moment. It was Darren, her second in command. "We've got movement, Sector 3. Zara's heart quickened, but her voice was steady. "Hold your positions, lure it toward the ridge." The Zarnok was fast, even faster than she'd expected. It charged out of the underbrush, a blur of motion and claws, scattering the squad. Zara gritted her teeth. This wasn't going to be easy. "Deploy the dampeners," she ordered. The team threw out small, spherical devices that activated in bursts of blue light, temporarily slowing the Zarnok's movements. It roared, struggling against the field, but the delay was enough. Zara took aim with her custom-built rifle, a prototype designed specifically to penetrate the Zarnok's dense scales. "On my mark," she said, exhaling slowly. Her pulse slowed as she focused entirely on the creature's weak point, the gap between its neck plates. She fired. The shot hit its mark, and the Zarnok fell with an earth-shaking crash. Back aboard the Aegis, Zara stared at the lifeless body of the creature in the containment bay. It was over, but the victory wasn't as satisfying as she had hoped. The loss of her sister still lingered, a weight that no hunt could erase. "Captain?" Darren's voice broke the silence. "The team's waiting for you in the mess hall. They want to celebrate." She hesitated, then nodded. "I'll be there in a minute." Zara leaned against the railing, taking a deep breath. Hunting monsters was the easy part. Coping with the scars they left behind, that was the real challenge. As the ship sped away from Zalos Prime, Zara made a quiet promise to herself: she would face her demons, one step at a time, just as humanity had faced every challenge before. And maybe, one day, she'd finally feel whole again. Let me know if you'd like to expand or adjust anything. Here's the continuation of the story. #Hunters coping mechanisms, Part 2. The mess hall was alive with laughter and the clinking of glasses as the crew celebrated their hard-earned victory. Zara stood in the doorway, watching her team unwind. For most of them, this was another successful mission, a feather in humanity's collective cap. But for her, it felt like something was still unfinished. Darren spotted her and waved her over. "Captain, don't just stand there like a statue. Grab a drink, Reed says he's got some contraband whiskey from Earth." Zara forced a smile and joined them, accepting a glass. She raised it in a silent toast before taking a sip. The burn of the whiskey was a welcome distraction, momentarily grounding her. "You know," said Reed, a wiry engineer with a perpetual grin, "the Zarnok wasn't even the scariest thing I've seen this week. Yesterday, I found a meal packet labeled broccoli stew in the galley. Terrifying." The table erupted into laughter. Zara managed to chuckle, but her mind wandered. The Zarnok hunt was only the tip of the iceberg. Reports from other colonies hinted at a deeper problem, an ecosystem shift on multiple planets. Creatures like the Zarnok weren't just appearing randomly. Something was driving them to new territories. Later that night, Zara sat alone in her quarters, staring at the holoscreen. Her sister's smiling face filled the display, a recording she hadn't been able to delete. "Come on, Z, lighten up. You can't save the whole galaxy on your own, but I bet you'll try anyway." The message was an old one, sent before her sister's final mission. Zara clenched her fists, guilt mixing with grief. She hadn't been able to save her sister, but maybe she could save others. Her thoughts were interrupted by a chime from the ship's AI, Calliope. "Captain Velez, incoming transmission from Fleet Command, Priority 1. "Patch it through," Zara said, straightening up. The image of Admiral Malik filled the screen. His lined face was grim. "Zara, I'll get straight to the point. The Zarnok incident wasn't isolated. We've confirmed similar attacks across 6 systems. It's coordinated. Something is stirring up the predators, and we need your crew to investigate. Zara's heart sank. She had hoped for a reprieve, time to heal, but the galaxy had other plans. Understood, Admiral. Send me the details. The crew gathered in the war room the next morning, the holographic map of nearby systems floating above the table. So, what's the deal? Asked Reed, leaning against his chair. Zara gestured to the map. We've identified a pattern. Predators like the Zarnok are being displaced, and they're not migrating naturally. Something's forcing them into new territories. Fleet Command wants us to find out what's behind it. Darren frowned. That sounds like a job for a research vessel, not hunters like us. Maybe, Zara admitted, but no one else has the experience we do. If these predators are as dangerous as the Zarnok, we're the best chance those colonies have. Reed grinned. Translation, we're screwed. Zara smirked. Something like that. Pack your gear, we leave in 2 hours. Their next destination was Vraxis 4, a jungle planet teeming with life. Reports indicated that local apex predators were abandoning their hunting grounds, leaving the ecosystem in chaos. As the Aegis descended through the planet's atmosphere, Zara felt a familiar mixture of anticipation and dread. She knew her team was ready. The question was, was she? Darren's voice crackled over the comms. Landing complete. Scanners show movement in the eastern quadrant, but it's weird. The patterns don't match any known fauna. Zara grabbed her gear and joined the team at the airlock. We're about to find out why. Stay sharp, everyone. The jungle greeted them with oppressive heat and the hum of alien insects. The team moved cautiously, weapons at the ready. It didn't take long to find their first clue, a massive claw mark carved into a tree. That's bigger than the Zarnoks, muttered Reed. Zara knelt beside the claw marks, her hand brushing the dirt below. Tracks led deeper into the jungle, but something about them felt wrong. The spacing was too precise, too deliberate. This isn't natural, she said, her voice low. Whatever's out here, it's not just a predator, it's being controlled. The team pressed on, unease growing with every step. As they approached a clearing, they found their answer. In the center of the clearing stood a massive obelisk, its surface etched with glowing runes. Around it, creatures of all shapes and sizes moved in eerie synchronization. Zara recognized some of them, species from entirely different star systems. That's impossible, whispered Darren. Zara's jaw tightened. Not impossible, engineered. Before she could give the order to retreat, the obelisk pulsed with light. The creatures turned toward them, eyes glowing with the same unearthly energy. Zara raised her weapon. Fall back, now. The hunt was no longer about survival, it was about uncovering the truth behind a force that could bend nature itself to its will. And for Zara, it was a chance to face her demons head-on. Would you like to see how the confrontation unfolds or explore more of the mystery? ### Hunters Coping Mechanisms, Part 3. Zara's command rang clear through the comms as the team retreated into the dense jungle. The creatures moved as a single, terrifying unit, their glowing eyes tracking the humans with unnerving precision. The hum of the obelisk's energy pulsed behind them, a sound that seemed to vibrate in their bones. Captain, Darren panted as he ran beside her, we can't outrun them forever. What's the plan? We need to find a choke point, Zara replied, scanning the terrain with her visor. Her HUD lit up, highlighting a rocky outcrop ahead. There. We can hold them off long enough to figure out what we're dealing with. The team scrambled up the slope, positioning themselves among the jagged rocks. Reed set up a portable shield generator, creating a shimmering barrier at the narrow entrance to the outcrop. This won't hold forever, he warned, his voice tight. It doesn't have to, Zara said. She crouched behind a boulder, her rifle trained on the advancing horde. We just need time to think. The creatures didn't attack immediately. Instead, they formed a semicircle around the outcrop, their movements eerily synchronized. The glowing runes on the obelisk pulsed faster, and the creatures seemed to respond, their bodies twitching in time with the rhythm. What the hell is that thing? Reed muttered, staring at the obelisk through his scope. Some kind of control beacon, Zara said, her mind racing. It's not just influencing the predators, it's commanding them. Darren nodded grimly. Makes sense. These species shouldn't even be on the same planet, let alone working together. Someone, or something, put them here. But why? Reed asked. Zara didn't answer. She had a sinking feeling the answer was tied to the obelisk, and the intelligence behind it. The creatures began to move, testing the shield with tentative strikes. Clawed limbs and serrated teeth slammed against the barrier, sending ripples of energy through the field. Reed cursed as the power meter on the generator dipped lower. They're wearing it down, he said. Focus fire. Zara ordered. Her team unleashed a volley of plasma rounds, targeting the creatures closest to the shield. The blast slowed their advance, but more creatures emerged from the jungle, drawn to the obelisk's call. This isn't sustainable, Darren said, reloading his rifle. Zara's mind raced. They couldn't hold out forever, but retreating wasn't an option, not with the obelisk still active. She needed a plan, and fast. Her gaze fell on the obelisk, and an idea began to form. It was risky, but it might be their only chance. Reed, she said, her voice firm, how fast can you rig an EMP? Reed blinked. An EMP? I can put something together, but it'll take time, and we'll have to get close to the obelisk to deploy it. We don't have a choice, Zara said. She turned to the rest of the team. We hold the line here while Reed gets the EMP ready. Once it's set, we'll cover him while he plants it. Darren hesitated, then nodded. You heard the captain. Let's make this count. The next few minutes were a blur of chaos and precision. Zara's team fought with everything they had, holding the creatures at bay as Reed worked frantically to assemble the EMP device. The shield generator flickered and failed, forcing the team into close combat. Almost there, Reed shouted, sweat streaming down his face. Zara fired a shot, taking down a massive, scaled beast that had lunged toward Darren. We don't have much time. Reed snapped the EMP casing shut. Done. Zara grabbed his arm. Let's move. The team pushed forward, cutting a path through the horde toward the obelisk. The creatures seemed to sense their intent, converging on their position with renewed ferocity. Cover me. Reed yelled as he sprinted toward the obelisk, the EMP device cradled in his arms. Zara and Darren flanked him, their rifles blazing. Reed reached the base of the obelisk and slammed the EMP into place. Detonating in 10 seconds, he shouted. Fall back. Zara ordered, her voice cutting through the din. The team retreated, the countdown echoing in their ears. At 0, the EMP discharged, a wave of energy rippling out from the obelisk. The effect was immediate. The creatures froze, their glowing eyes dimming as they collapsed to the ground. The obelisk itself cracked and shattered, the runes fading into darkness. Silence fell over the jungle. Zara lowered her weapon, her breath ragged. Around her, the team stood in stunned relief, surveying the carnage. Is it over? Darren asked. For now, Zara said, her gaze fixed on the ruins of the obelisk. But this wasn't random. Someone built that thing, and they'll know we destroyed it. Reed groaned. Great. Just what we need, angrier aliens. Zara managed a grim smile. Let them come. We'll be ready. As the team regrouped and prepared to leave, Zara felt a strange sense of clarity. The hunt wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about uncovering the truth. And this time, she wouldn't run from it. Would you like to explore who or what is behind the obelisks, or shift focus to the larger galactic implications?